to how Danny figured these things out, or if he just tripped and fell on it. You know.
Well, talking to Danny, I think part of it is the way that he learns and the way that he used to learn when he was going to college, and the methodology that he uses and how to get information. Right. And he really dilutes things, or not dilutes, distills things until he gets to the core of what is important. Right. And he did the same thing with Kali, with his background in that, because he wanted to see, okay, I wouldn't do this. Well, why wouldn't I do it? Well, because it wouldn't be effective. All right, well, what would be effective? And I can see him having conversations with himself where he's actually answering.
He's kind of weird.
I think we all are. Yeah, you're not a martial artist.
And I think we're weird in the sense that we're really trying to analyze ourselves.
Oh yeah,
rather than the material. Right. I mean, would I do a thing that way, or do I have to look and say, well, I can't move like that, so I need to tweak this out so that I'm comfortable and I'm not hurting myself in the process.
Right.
And I've had many surgeries. I've had all kinds of crazy things. So I can't move the way somebody who's a lot healthier. And I'm an old man by most standards. But I have to move the way I move. I can't move, the way anybody else does.
Yeah, you can't all of a sudden jump on your roof from here. So
I tried once and I got about 2 inches off the ground, and that was it. I mean, I was like, and I fell on my face, and I will not try that again.
See? So it's not going to work.
No.
So, I mean, to force yourself into that. And I think that's the simplest lesson that we've come across in the Bladed Mind, is that there is a lot of great information and a lot of great instructors and a lot of great techniques out there, but they don't work for everyone. And not enough people have asked why.
Yeah, and not to knock anybody else's system, but I've been in other systems.
Yeah.
And
similar physiques, and depending on what it is people are learning.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to a lot of the schools these days, especially in karate or even kaiju, any of the typical martial arts, taekwondo.
Yeah, well, they say
usually the
bigger
top,
ones.
Yeah, the top students are usually these, medium build, medium height, never overweight, never, but those are always the top guys because their body is geared for the way the instructor is, and the instructors always look like these incredible, outside of FMA.
Definitely. Yeah, no, they look badass. I mean, the only other FMA, practitioner that we've seen that looks, really good physically was Mel.
Right.
And I think that's because he likes showing off his tattoos, so he wants to stay fit.
And he's a health freak.
Oh, is he?
Well, he goes running, biking.
That's right. Yeah,
there's all those
things.
Kayaks.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's...
he's like, when I go on vacation, I want to go on a freaking journey. And I'm like, no, I want to go to a hotel.
Exactly. So, Mel, you're awesome.
But he's really the only one we've seen that isn't.
I mean, there are a lot of them.
Right.
But for the most part, the thing that you always imagine is this chubby guy, beer-bellied, but they're always funny and shit.
Yeah.
And they got some crazy stories.
Oh, they do. And they're pretty badass. I'm not going to deny.
Oh,
and I think that's what leads us to that realization, is that, okay, here you have these guys that aren't physically fit, will mess you up left and right. Yeah. So why is that?
Yeah, how are they able to do this and not even blink an eye at the same time?
So what is it that they understand, or what is it that the FMA teachings instill in people that allows them to do these things? And I think that's what Danny stumbled upon.
Yeah. It's funny when you look at the before and after pictures of these guys when they were younger. They were just fit, trim-looking guys.
Yeah, I've seen a picture of you guys.
And as they got older, they became the stereotypical Buddha-looking guy. So,
and if they live long enough, for some reason, they get really thin and small.
Again, they go back. Right? I'm working on that part now. That's where I'm at.
You got a few years to go.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I want to try to catch up to Mel.
Yeah. Oh, good luck there, man. Good luck.
I would really love to see how all this plays out with a weapon in your hand.
Okay.
Let's move some of the chairs around.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that.
We'll do a wardrobe change on set, and then we'll get back to it.
We're gonna have him put on his shorts. Not. All right, folks, we're back. We're going to go through what we were just talking about as far as the levels of understanding and how that all really breaks down. And we're going to really show you a little more detail than we've had in the past, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to break it down to a point where it's so easy to understand that there's no way you can mess it up. So I'm going to have Nain start this out, and I'll be back when he needs me.
Yeah. So first I wanted to go through our basic angles of attack, and then we'll talk about the levels of understanding and how they play into the learning process of these particular strikes. So we use a clock system, okay? Very simple idea for the top, the middle, and the bottom ranges, okay? So our angle 1 is literally our 1 o'clock, just like the hand of a clock. So if you're facing the clock, your angle 1 is always going to be on your right side. All right. Then it comes at an angle. So if 12 o'clock is here, your 1 o'clock is always going to be just to the right of that. Now, we come up, we go into what we call a full chamber. Now this is going to give you that stretch that we were talking about, those lats, as well as give you a stretch in your shoulder. Make sure that your elbow is as high as you can get it. It's a nice little stretch. And what you want to do is keep your hand as close to your body as possible. Crosses your center line, about your range of your belly button. And again, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see how close my arm is to my body. Now the reason behind that, and this will be going into level 2, is I'm stronger closer to my body than I am when I am extended. One of the benefits of that is that if I'm striking at an opponent and I bring my hand out first and then the stick, my hand is liable to get hit. But if I keep it close to my body,
let me point something out as well, too,
please.
Because what you're saying is good. But when we talk about having our hands out here and in here, and why we're weaker out here than we are in here, drop your stick for a second. Hold your hands up. All right. Out here, this is going to be easy for me to do it. He's not going to be able to hold it. Which again proves that he's really not as strong out here because there's too much leveraging that I can. And if you notice, when I push this down, I'm really tight and close. So this, I'm going to win that all the time. But when he brings it in close, no matter what I do, I'm not going to get this down. I mean, I'm a lot of weight, but he's stronger there. Again, so that's, and you want to look at that visually because it's hard to understand that, he's just saying on this. But
right.
When you see that example, you can really show how the body mechanics work. When you're out here, the levers is
too much.
The
fulcrum is here. All this space to work with. I don't need a lot of space or strength to really push this down. But the closer it is to the body, the stronger it is.
So continue.
Anywho. So that's one of the basics understanding of our 1 and 11 and why we keep our hand close to our body. Okay? From here we move on to the other side. Now on the left side is going to be your 11 o'clock. Same thing. From the center, from 12, your 11 o'clock is going to be slightly to your left. Same idea as we did over here. Now, we're not going to raise this up in front of our face because it takes away our visibility of our opponent. So we're going to put it here by our shoulder, so we still have visual. But when we do deliver our 11, we're still going to come over our shoulder and down as close to our body as possible, crossing our center line, right around your belly button. Now, we keep our wrist locked at a 90-degree angle. Now, the reason why this is very important, and one of the details that we carry on through everything that we do, is that if I keep my wrist locked at 90 degrees, the tip of my stick comes out before my hand. As you can see, my hand is safe back here. My stick is always going to hit first at whatever it is I'm trying to hit, versus my hand getting exposed. So those are our basic 1 and 11. Some of the level 2 ideas behind it. There are more that go along with it. Again, used to develop the motion and everything else that goes along with it. So our basics 1 and 11. Now, we also use the other odd numbers in the clock. 3 is horizontal from right to left. 9 is horizontal from left to right. And then we have our low line attacks, which would be 5 down here and up. And then our 7, the bottom, and up. Now, we're going to concentrate on just the 1 and 11 more so than anything else, because we're going to see the evolution of the motion itself and how it translates to everything else that we do. One of the details that we add after the students are able to do this basic 1 and 11 is that this stick, even though it is a round stick, has 5 parts to it. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean that even though we're holding a stick, in our minds, this is what we're wielding, a blade. And there are 5 parts to this particular blade, or any blade for that matter. You have the puño, the pommel. You have the sharp edge. You have the tip. You have the blunt side, or the spine, and you have the flat sides. So those are the 5 different components of a blade, and this plays a big part into our level 3, which will become variation of what we can do with the simple motion of 1 and 11. Okay? At this particular point, the focus is going to be on the tip, which is one of the first details that we give our students after gross motion. Hit with the tip. Why do we say to hit with the tip? No. Scientifically speaking, because this is further away from the point of which you're holding, you're going to create a lot more damage and a lot more force when your wrist has to turn this much. The length of the weapon itself has to create a much larger arc. So from the starting point to the point of contact, the tip has to travel a lot longer distance than it takes your wrist to turn, or in our 1 and 11 to drop from here to here. But if you look at the weapon behind me, you see that the tip is all the way at the bottom of my back. And my opponent is right in front of me, which means that in the time it takes me to drop my hand, the tip has to travel all that distance to get to its target. Longer distance, faster speed, more force. So that's one of the reasons why we teach that particular detail. Okay, where was I?
Details.
Details. So that's why we hit with the tip of the stick, which would be essentially the tip of a blade. But if at any point during that travel something comes in range of that motion, what's going to happen? It's going to get cut by the entire length of this blade before it reaches the tip, which is going to be a lot more detrimental to your opponent. Now, in reference to a stick, because it is a blunt object, you're getting hit by a stick. It's going to hurt regardless. But if your focus is always going to be on the heaviest part of it, then you're going to be able to hit harder and recover faster instead of having to travel the entire length of the weapon before you can hit again. So now you can develop speed. Plus, because of the distance from your hand, you're developing great hand-eye coordination, being able to hit with the tip of the stick, which is very important for any sort of martial art that you do. All right, now that's our basic understanding of level 2 of 1 and 11, and they apply on both sides. And we always recommend to the students, use both hands when you're training. So you do your 11 and your 1 as well. So you're developing both sides of your body instead of just your dominant side. Because we had a student who I didn't know for years was left-handed, because all he did was with his right hand, and then about 3 or 4 years later I find out, oh, he's naturally left-handed, which blew me away because I would have never known that, because he was training a bit longer than I have with just his right hand versus his left. So let's be ambidextrous as best we can and have both weapons available to us. All right, so that's level 2. Now, level 3, now we're adding a variation. And one of the basic variations that we add to anything that we teach is going to be ranging. Now, at the very beginning, and Rick, if you wouldn't mind joining me.
Yes, boss.
We allow the students to experience the 1 in 11 with a live partner. Now, we always tell our students that when you're doing your 1 in 11, you should be at close range. Now, at close range, I can use both my hands to touch my opponent. But right now, we're still only focused on hitting the tip of the stick to the face of the opponent. So if we both do our full chamber and we drop to angle 1, my tip is focused on hitting his face.
Just the tip?
Just the tip. Because like what we said, mechanically speaking and scientifically speaking, that's where most of the force is going to be, or at least the greater force of this particular movement. But as you can see, we never get there because our sticks clash here. Now that's a very important distinction, because this is a happenstance of me trying to hit his face, not me trying to hit his stick, which is different. My focus is hitting him. That's another detail that we add to our level 2 of 1 in 11, because I want the students to start developing the idea that you're trying to hit this person who's trying to hit you. You're not trying to hit their stick. You're not trying to miss the individual. You're really trying to get to what your purpose is. Because now that I have a purpose, if we do our 1 in 11 and I start moving, he's no longer hitting my face because he's no longer in range. So something has to change for him to be able to hit me. Oh, there it is. Now I walk forward and he maintains the range. And this goes back and forth, and we're developing the idea that I'm constantly going after my opponent. I'm not trying to clash sticks with him. We're not trying to look pretty. We're really simplistically trying to end the fight from the very beginning. Just hit the face and it's done. And this is our most basic understanding, which means ranging has to be a part of that conversation. Like I said, at the beginning we tell our students short range. Fights don't start there though. Fights usually start out here. There you go. Yeah. Rat bastard? No. And then we walk in. But even at this range, I still drop my hand and I extend to him. The details carry over, like we said in the conversation.
And if I don't drop my hand,
he gets hit. Like I said, my concentration is taking the tip to his face. But if at any point anything comes across it, look, it's going to get destroyed anyways. If I'm savvy enough, I stop my attack to his face and I change target to his hand, because now he's going to get hurt that much more, because again, the tip of the stick is going to feel heavier than any other part when I'm swinging. So I attack his hand, 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 and I move in. Now I attack his face. But at no point did you see me go up and down to extend. I dropped my hand just like a regular 1 in 11 at short range, and I extended out to what I needed to. So again, the same details that we learned at the first version of 1 in 11 are now being carried over into the next.
now that's all cool, but you said variation. There doesn't seem to be much of variation there. I mean, I get the footwork part, but as far as variation, you're still only just hitting with the tip of the stick. So,
Right.
So what's the variation aspect
Well,
of that?
the simple variation was that when we first learn a 1 in 11, we're stagnant,
Right.
which means that moving is now a variation. And as we demonstrated just now, we have to learn to keep the details still in play in
Right.
reference to what things are changing. But, as I was about to say, from there, the ranges will change again. Because if you keep coming forward, now we're really close. If we're this close,
Right.
it's much harder for me to hit you with the tip of my stick.
Right.
Right? So now that's where the weapon orientation really starts to play a big part in what we do. Because if I'm this close, oh, I have a puño. Oh, look at that. Now I can hit you with the puño with the exact same intensity as if I would with the tip. Oh, look. I can still hit you with the tip at close range because I understand to stay close to my body. Again, utilizing the details in the variation to allow me to do that. If I wanted to, and I didn't show this particular strike, but we do abanicos and huitiques, which would require the flat sides of the sword, which I can do right here. because I understand where it's going to be most effective, I can utilize it at any given point.
Cool. All right. So variations is a good thing.
It has to happen.
And all along the lines of variation, it doesn't only stay with just what you're hitting.
No.
If we're doing the 1 in 11, I could use my puño maybe to catch it as a hook now.
Right.
Because maybe I'm not trying to hit you. I'm just trying to get the weapon out of the way so then I can hit you or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about in variation, that the students then start to understand,
Right.
what else can I do with this?
With the same motion.
With the same motion, right?
Because
So
that hook that you did, that's an 11.
right.
Same motion, except now the focus isn't to get the tip here or to the face, it's to get the puño here.
Right.
Now I can go back to my 1 and go back to hitting the face, or even coming closer. And even then, I can hook here, come back, and hook here.
Right.
And it's still just doing 2 11s in a row.
Wait, how'd you get 2 11s in a row?
We're not playing craps. 11 and 11.
Wow, that's amazing.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah, you're selling it?
trying to emphasize.
I get it. No, he's a dick. But now the variation has gone from 1 and 11 to 11 11.
Right.
We don't tell our students that they're limited to just doing it that way. We teach it that way so they can, again, with level 2, refine the movement and really understand, okay, where is my power? How can I develop the muscles that I need for that, the mechanics that I need so I can hit. And because the tip of the stick is the heaviest point, and you're going to feel the difference. If you were to hit your arm here and not change the intensity, but just move down to the tip, it starts stinging more. Which means because of the length of the stick and the stick just being